All right, so we've got between now through February, we've got several events coming up. In December, we've got our Winterfest Creators Expo that's currently underway. People, I think all the merchant booths have been taken. That's like 30 some odd booths. That's fantastic, you guys. And I believe the booths are open now for people to put their items in. And then I believe it starts on the 15th, and we're going to have a number of events. Alex, our very own Alex Reese, said that she was going to DJ for us. Mike agreed to sing live. I'm going to sing live, but you really don't want to come to that event because it'll chase you away from the grid. But if you really are into pain, you never know. You can show up at those events. Those dates are yet to be announced, but they will be during the Winterfest time frames. So keep an eye out in the USG events section, where we post the graphics and stuff. Keep an eye out for those dates. Um, that's coming in December, and then we had, we had a newsletter we were going to put out the first quarter of next year. We didn't have enough contributions to it, so it's been shelved for the first quarter, but we might resurrect it for second quarter. So if you submitted a classifieds ad for it, keep your classified ad in your profile. That's the only requirement to get into the classifieds for the newsletters, that you have to have a matching classified ad in your in-world profile. So if you submitted a classified, keep your in-world profile classified, because we'll just use that next time when we do it in Q2. Um, and I think we have I think it's going to be on the 24th, our joyous event, a joyful gathering. It's our annual event for those that might be alone on the holiday on Christmas Eve, or or just want to be around their community, or any reason at all. You can show up for a minute, you can show up for an hour, you can show up for the whole time. It's really kind of a come as you want, stay as you need, leave when you have to kind of an event. Very, very casual. That will be announced soon too. That will also be a location for that. There's an Into the Light event that's coming as well. I believe that's going to be held on our Welcome Grove, our new region for new residents. Residents that are 30 days and under can be part of the Welcome Grove. They get a parcel where they have streaming rights and can put objects down, and they'll have a house and things like that, kind of, so if they want to just come and kick the tires over here and see what they think, they have 30 days to kind of mosey around, see if they like us, and decide to stay and either get a region or rent from somewhere else or something along those lines. So that's in the Welcome Grove. That'll be done there. And I can't confirm this yet. I think there's going to be a beach event, or there was talk of one. These are all in December, you guys. This is a busy month for us. And then in January, of course, we'll have some events on either Welcome or in the Welcome Grove. We've got our normal GT Club events. We've got our Fetish Fire events, and we've got the Jazzish Eclectica events as well. That'll be all through January. And then in February, we have the GT show, Luminaria. It is a very big show. It is one of our biggest, and it's very important. While everybody's been doing memorials for Luna, um, GT as a group, as a unit, is also dedicating the entirety of the Luminaria show to Luna and her family and friends. So we would really request that if you have some friends that like artistry, um, message them, get them over here, get them to make an account. It's free. We're making the website super easy, so it's super easy to come in, pick your avatar in world, and be off, running off to do what you need to do. But please, please let folks know that, there is artistry in OpenSim that isn't full of botted crap, and is worth the time to look at it if you're into that at all. The other thing I want to mention that I forgot about, coming in the next couple of days, at least by December 15th, the third freebie from the Golden Touch Theater for Luminaria will be coming up. It's both a men's outfit and a women's outfit. So it's two outfits, totally free. You just have to be in the group to get them. And that's all part of our themed Luminaria show. The theme is Angels Among Demons. So we've been giving away outfits so that people can, have the attire they want or make the attire they need. There's also links to whatever products are in the picture that will take you directly to where merchants on USG have those products for sale. Have I forgotten anything?
No, that was good, I think.
I haven't had enough coffee yet today. I don't know if I've forgotten anything. Damn it. My mind is like a sieve. Um, the advent calendar is currently underway, and I think you can get the gifties for, what is it, Tanya? 2 days late. So what's today? Seventh day, or this? Yeah, the seventh day. So you can get the 5th and the 6th as well. You want to pop over to that because there's some really good stuff. And one of the gifts was a full men's outfit, like shoes, jacket, not jeans and a t-shirt kind of thing. And oh God, what else? I know I'm missing something. Oh damn it! If I think of it, I'll say it later. So, but I think that's it, and I think you guys are probably tired of hearing me ramble on anyway. So, I'm gonna give the stage right back to Mike. Punting to you, Mikey.
Okay. Now they get to hear me ramble. Hopefully I'm not rambling too much. Did I say tuna enough that, okay, anyway. Yeah, so the main topic I want to cover today is the hypergrid access to USG. And I'd like to explain in a little bit more detail why we're taking this step, because it's not just simply because we don't like the hypergrid or something like that. There's actually some technical details behind this and that really need to matter to everybody. So I'm going to get into that a little bit. And then I like to talk about what this means longer term, because eventually I'm going to bring hypergrid back, just not in the same form that it currently is in. But I wanted to point out before I get into all those details that I know OpenSim is diverse. There are people running older versions, lots of stuff like that. I can tell you that some of the biggest grids that are out there run the NGC software that this is all based on. So if I were to look at the number of seats of people that are running NGC versus core, it is significant. There's a lot of people that like the changes that we've made, the additions, and choose to run the software. And I'm working with those people to talk about roadmaps and how we go forward with this. So anyway, I'm going to get into the primary reason, and we'll go from there. So there is a security issue in .NET, which is what the server is all written with. It's written in C# and .NET Core. And about 4 years ago, they announced an issue with the mechanism that's used to pack up all the bytes that are transmitted and stored. Like when you store an asset or a script or an inventory item, all of that data is packed up in a stream of bytes and sent to disk or whatever, or sent across the wire if it's you're hypergridding to someplace else. And I'm trying not to make this overly technical, but it's hard to say it any other way than that. The mechanism that OpenSim uses is called binary formatter, and that mechanism was announced as insecure and deprecated 4 years ago. Basically, what you can do with it is use it to transmit a virus. You can send arbitrary code or data in the message that's put together, that's sent across. So if somebody wants to be malicious and use this mechanism to attack another site, it's very possible to do. There are published exploits for it. In other words, that this isn't just a theory. There's code that actually can be used to generate binary stream that causes this problem to happen. It's a very serious security issue, in my opinion. And the problem is that Core, I've tried engaging Ubit several times to talk about this. He doesn't want to fix it because he doesn't think it's a big deal. And there are older versions. Essentially, if we make changes to this mechanism, it will break all the older versions of OpenSim that are still floating around on the grid. So essentially the position that's been taken is that, no, I don't want to fix that. It's not a serious problem. Apparently, he doesn't think that the content that we all have in our grids is worth protecting, but I do. So I've tried over the past year to try and address this issue with him. I've gotten nowhere with it. So pretty much what I'm going to do is take the hypergrid protocols offline, which means that we won't be on the hypergrid for a period of time. And I'm going to replace the code that is deprecated with code that works. So, and then I'll test that and reintroduce it into NGC in what will be a trusted version of the hypergrid. So that, in other words, if other people that are on and running our software, the NGC software, want to use this, they can enable cross-grid transfers. I'm going to put this in the place with controls where you can make decisions about who you choose to trust to allow transfers to happen, all the way down to the user level. So you could potentially sandbox a user. You'd let them come over, but not allow objects to come over, however you want to set it up. So, and frankly, honestly, this should have been this way since the beginning. It was poorly designed, and it has been poorly designed, and nothing's been done to address it, primarily because there are old systems that still run old versions of the hypergrid code, and there's no real will to change that. So, and by the way, this is true for any OpenSim install, including something like Kitely and so on. And I'm going to try and talk to Elon to see if I can get any traction there, because I know some people sell through his marketplace. And yes, it also impacts DreamGrid. Anything that runs OpenSim up through current Core, the development branch of Core, has this problem. And NGC does too, for the record, until I fix this. But it's, in my opinion, it absolutely needs to be addressed. Someone could theoretically send an attack via a hypergrid transfer and damage the server and potentially damage data. I guess I don't want to get into more technical details other than that this isn't just an arbitrary decision where I'm saying, well, I don't like the hypergrid, so I'm going to turn it off. It really is about protecting people's data and intellectual property and things like that. I'm going to continue to try and work with Core. I don't expect to get a lot of traction, and I also expect that if he did decide that this was enough to push him to make changes, he would do the changes in an incompatible way, because that's pretty much how they've worked up till now. But it doesn't stop me from making our version work better, so and fix it. And I'll have conversations with Elon as well, because Kitely, like I said, because of their marketplace, is a factor here, and I'd like to be able to make sure that those transactions are secure. So that all gets around to the fact that we're basically going to shut off hypergrid at the end of the month. I also believe, and I'm going to this is the right thing for the grid in general, And I'll tell you why. I We've been running with hypergrid enabled for 7 years now, and we really haven't seen significant growth. Certainly other grids have, and I'm going to come back to that in just a second. But it hasn't really been a big impact. The problem is that there's whole bunches of grids, including something like Dream Grid, and I'm not speaking negatively of Dream Grid, but there are whole groups of grids that basically are founded around the notion of everything should be free, that it's really just that sharing and all that kind of stuff is what this is all about. And so that's not a big deal, right? That we should all be able to connect anywhere and go anywhere and bring anything we get on those places back. Except there's some bad actors out there, like Sacrarium, for instance, and things like that. So, and yeah, so John, actually, I want to comment on that. You just said the original OpenSIM was free sharing, but it's been twisted. That's actually not true. The open in OpenSIM was about the code. It was licensed in using a BSD license, and the code was open, but the grid was never designed to mean content is open. Everything should be open. There were permissions since the very beginning. Way back when InWorlds forked in 0.6, there were permissions enabled then. They certainly got fixed and made better, but content is something that I think deserves protection. And the other way to look at it is there were people on InWorlds, there are people on our grid now who actually enjoy the idea of running a small business inside virtual. They like making things for sale and using that to pay their tier and those kinds of things, right? That's a very valid use case. There's nothing wrong with that. And with OpenSIM as it currently is, it's impossible to maintain and build an economy. It's just not possible. Because as soon as something leaves the grid that it's on, it gets corrupted and changed and made free, and then gets copied around. The other thing is that there are whole grids whose basic operating mode is stealing content. So I don't want to say that that's the only reason. Like I said, that we are closing from the hypergrid, but those are important reasons. Intellectual property protection is important. People should be able to create content and know that what they have is as protected as it possibly can be. So that's an important reason. And the other one is the security thing that I talked about. The protocols that are used to connect these different grids should be secure, and it should be possible to make decisions about who you trust so that you're not going to be attacked by somebody that has decided they want to be malicious. All right.
Well, and if I can interject a statement here, you'll hear any number of people's viewpoints about why we're doing this. And, there's a lot of the rumor mill going around like, oh, USG is closing and la, 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 la. People will say whatever they want to say to benefit themselves. And you'll hear all sorts of things about how we are, how we act, who we are, what we do. It's just whatever. What I would always tell a resident here, and what we have always told people that come here, is ask questions. Ask questions of whomever you're giving money to. I don't care if it's $5. That's $5. If you're giving somebody money, they should be having some responsibility and accountability for taking that money. And we have and always will be completely transparent with that. And we will always tell you what's coming as best as we can. And we will always look out to protect you because we are taking your money. We are in an agreement with you to take care of you. And that's what we will do. A lot of other places will say that they do that, and they do. They provide whatever it is that a person may need. We aim to do that too, but we aim to do that in an environment that is conducive for everyone. People that want to sell things, people that want to just be involved in art, or whatever your reason for virtual is. But if somebody is telling you something about us, or about USG, or about what we're doing, or about what we're saying, the only thing I can tell you that will always give you the truth is to come and ask us. We are always available and we will happily answer any questions you may have based on something you may have heard. But do remember that a lot of people will tell you what they want you to hear because it benefits them. So, with that said, I'm going to quiet and let Mike either go on or open for questions. Thank you.
That's a really good point because it's always true. We're always open and willing to help out. And Flamey actually made a point in chat that I wanted to underscore too. It isn't just intellectual property that is attackable. It's personal information that we might be holding on to make the grid operate that is also potentially attackable. And those are again the main reasons why I think we need to shut it down until this security issue gets addressed and then come back in a form that does protect all those things. Okay, so I think I've tried to lay out
questions.
I understand. I was about to say that. I'm trying to lay out a case for the reasons behind it. I think at this point we've made the decision. I know we have for all the reasons I just mentioned, but I want to emphasize that everybody here has a choice, right? There are ways to set up your own grid and run locally or rent a server and run. If you want to run DreamGrid, it's definitely doable. Be aware that if you do, you're inheriting this issue and it's not been addressed. So but you have that choice. If the freedom to operate in a hypergrid environment is more important to you than security or anything else, then that's an option. And we will never stop anybody from making that choice, and or try and dissuade you even. And if you want to, like I said, we've told people that I will make filter doors and export content if, because we're closing hypergrid, you don't feel USG is the place for you. And I'm not trying to get rid of anybody. I'm just saying that we respect that you gave us your money for a period of time and you're a customer of ours, and we'll do our best to take care of you and honor your choice. But what we really would like to see happen is for people to stay and be a part of this community. And that's the main thing I want to emphasize. And then we'll get to some questions. To me, the thing that makes any grid work is the existence of a strong community. That can be true of the hypergrid. It also can be true of a closed grid. So I would argue that we never really got a community built from the hypergrid, because the culture on the hypergrid is more about everything should be free and content theft and things like that. People are sharing stuff around, and that's just not something we're supporting or buying into with our grid. So we're not going to participate in that. We're not going to be successful with a hypergrid model if we don't support what the model is about to most people. So that being the case, the closed grid just made a lot more sense. And ultimately we're going to need to build that community. So I'm going to come back to that, but let's answer a couple of questions, and then I have something to say about the community building part and also the some pricing stuff. So,
Thanks.
all right.
Okay. I've been in OpenSim. I've been in Second Life since 2005. OpenSim almost as long, 2006, 2007. I was in OS Grid. originally OS Grid, there was no paid content at all. Everything was either the permissions, you couldn't copy it, couldn't take it, or it was made for everyone. I still have some of my OS Grid ors back from then, and there were people that just made stuff for everybody. I'm thinking of Linda Kelly, OpenSim Creations, their website, Vanish did a lot of stuff, Gary Beaumont, various other people. That is all content that was made by those people for everybody in the OpenSim to use freely.
Right.
Now there's that sharing is caring and never buy an OpenSim movement. That's what I meant by twisted. Also,
Yeah.
Mike, I'm looking at getting another sim again.
Mhm. Okay. I'll actually say something about that in a few minutes because we are
Yep.
going to be doing some pricing stuff. But all right. Any other questions? And while we're asking for the next question, I will echo what you said. I agree. There was kind of a community that emerged in OpenSim that was about creating free content for people where they wanted to share it, and I have nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly fine. And I agree that it's been perverted to, well, everything has to be free, and forcing people to that try and charge for anything to not do that. So that's unfortunate. All right. Hey, Flamey.
I just wanted to explain a little situation for people that have never had a bad time, never experienced a bad time, never seen what can go wrong. From a personal experience of mine and some very good friends of mine, and some people here that know of it, and I'm not going to go into names and they can speak about it if they want to. I can say that I had to watch people's content being stolen. I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't stop them coming in through the back door. They conned people, and on top of that, they managed to get my personal information somehow. And I was stalked in my real life to the point that they were ringing my house, and the police were involved, and lawyers were involved, and it was a mess, and it was frightening and scary. And people, I mean, and I know this, you might think I'm sort of blowing things out of proportion, and I wished I was, but the access that people can actually get hold of your information under the original core of what OpenSim is actually it can give away a lot more than you realize, and you don't have to give much yourself. It doesn't take a lot, and it needs to be protected. It's not just about your content. This is about your personal security. And it changed the way I looked at life. I'll be honest. I mean, it literally, I mean, it devastated me and some other people. And it's how I came to Mike and Callie, because I knew this was a safe place to come. And I understand that, this it might seem like it's a snap decision, but in the long term, it's definitely for people's benefit. I didn't really have a question. I just wanted to share my personal experience and hope that helps. So
I think it's very relevant. I mean, I think personal security in general and personal security is important. It needs to be important to people. We're all connected on the internet, and there are lots of ways to get attacked from that. So, you got to take that kind of stuff seriously.
yeah. And I see in the back end, and I know some of these holes and where those holes were in the old software. And I know, like, after, I mean, not that I don't know it as well as you, Mike, but I know that working on the back end of servers for a little while, how volatile the original software is,
Yeah.
and what little there is to do about it. There was just, I feel like when they brought this out, they brought it out with excitement and probably didn't think about these things. And when they did, by the time they kind of got to that point where they thought it might be important to fix, they'd gotten themselves into a position of fixing it meant rewriting it from scratch, which is pretty much what you've done. I mean, it was the only way to fix it. But in doing that, it slowly becomes incompatible with the other programs. They become a different program entirely. And you have to make a choice. It's one thing or the other. Do you want security? Or do you want to carry on with that, which in itself is going to become obsolete with what Second Life is today? in the end. I mean, it's not been updated in such a long time, and so that's just my personal experience, having some little back end knowledge from my side. It's, you know, and I love being here. I feel very safe, and I'm not leaving.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That's very valuable.
You're
Yeah.
very welcome, and thank you for letting me speak.
Always.
So we have a question that's been posted in World in a direct message to me. So I'm going to both paste it and ask it. It's from Till, and I'm going to botch the name Uhlenspiegel.
Yep.
He asked if we can still buy items at the Kitely market after closing the grid. I know part of that answer, but I wanted to make sure that it was asked here so everybody could hear it before I, answer him back, and I am. So that's his question.
Yeah. So in the short term, the answer will remain yes. I'm going to continue to maintain the Kitely part, but the ultimate problem remains that it's using the insecure protocols that I mentioned. So that's why I'm trying to have conversations with Elon to address this stuff. And I'm hoping that what we can do is produce a secure transport for Kitely transactions or any transactions that happen, and that they'll adopt it. And it can theoretically ride alongside the existing hypergrid protocols. So I'm going to try and, in the short term, the answer is yes. Medium and long term, it really depends on whether or not they're willing to work with me to address the security issue. I'm kind of hoping that once more details of this gets out in the public, that they will, because I think they generally seem to be customer focused. And I found Elon to be reasonable to work with in the past. So I'm hopeful that we can continue to maintain Kitely access for the long term.
Okay, I've pasted as much of that as possible to him. I said directly, yes, in the short term, we're going to continue maintaining the Kitely portion, but please note it is still using the insecure part we mentioned earlier. We're in discussions with Elon in hopes of developing a secure transport that he will adopt so Kitely can function without that security issue. So we answered that question. I just wanted everybody to hear that. So
okay, good. If anybody does have questions, go ahead and raise your hand and we'll get them on. But I'm going to talk for just a short amount of time about community, because I think that honestly, any grid that is successful to any measure is successful because they've managed to build a community of like-minded people, right? They've basically got people that are together because their friends are here and things like that. And I honestly believe that USG will succeed or not with what we're talking about doing because of that community, because of our community. So what that means is that for a short period of time where you might have been used to going out on the hypergrid and picking something up that may or may not have been legit and bringing it back, you won't be able to do that, right? Because you can't go out on the hypergrid. So we'll have to look to our own community for resources, for things that we're interested in having. And I think that's both, it's a downside because for a while we have less flexibility, right? But in the longer term, it's not. It's a positive thing because it creates opportunities for people to step in and fill those holes. So if you want something and there's no creators that do that, but you have the skills to do that, there's an opportunity for you to step in and fill that need. And I think that we will be successful at this effort. It's the way Inworlds was built. And I don't want to keep going back to Inworlds for comparisons because we're really not doing the same thing that Inworlds did. But the fact that people filled needs and built their content and what they were doing around those needs is the reason I think Inworlds built up and was successful early on. And I think we have the same opportunity to do that here. I think we can build a healthy economy, even if it's just a way for people to pay tier because they sell things and they have some cash available to do that. And I think we can all take care of each other, which is a big important part. We just had a memorial for Luna, which was really a sad thing for him, for his passing, her passing. But the community turned out to be supportive of all the things that Luna had done, and also his partner. So these are things we can do for each other, and I think we need to for this to be successful. And then once the security issues are addressed and we can start to make decisions about what other grids we want to partner with and connect to, we can rebuild this whole thing in a way that is secure and allows that to continue to happen. We basically look at an extended community instead of just our little one. And hopefully both things grow, right? We maybe not be so little, but and also the extended group that we connect to also becomes relevant. So I want to give us the best shot at doing this well, and I take responsibility for the technical side of that. I also will be a willing participant in our community, and we'll continue to do events and things. But everybody else, we're going to need you to bring your friends and talk about what we're making and step in to fill needs if you're a content creator and something needs that is out there that is needed. So I just want to kind of say, let's walk this path together and build a really great community. And if we do that, we will be successful. I totally believe it.
Along those lines, I'd like to mention one of the things I've talked about in previous State of the Grids is, the cheerleaders, right? We need cheerleaders. We need people to be rah, rah, USG. Excuse me. Sorry. Any grid needs that. USG, DigiWorlds, whatever. Any grid needs that. They need people that are passionate about this place being their home or one of their homes. It's nothing to say it has to be the only home. But the truth of the matter is we are evolving beyond the way things were. We are no longer OpenSim. We are Tranquility. So the narrative that we talk about, telling people when you talk to your friends in SL or on, other places, the things that are important that we find are important to most people we talk to are that we are closed to hypergrid, at least temporarily until the code is fixed. We're also very much involved in making sure that creator IP is respected and held to. We are very much a community-focused grid and very welcoming. Whether you're a dinky or a furry or whatever, we are very welcome to everybody that wants to be part of a community. And it's a great time to get involved in that because there are a lot of fantastic changes that are happening from the ground up that are being written by somebody that has the knowledge and architectural, um, and I can't think of the word now, but ability to create something better out of something that existed that has flaws. So these are all great things to talk about to your friends. There's got to be excitement to it. And there is. There's excitement in all of our events coming up. There's excitement in all the new content. Flamey's working on skins. Somebody else might be working on jewelry or, I'm trying to do more men's clothes and things like that. So there's a lot to be positive about on USG, despite what you may hear from other people who are either trying to poach or trying to smear the good intentions of myself and Mike. So it all comes down to your excitement level on the grid, your willingness to contribute, and your willingness to bring your friends. Talk is great, and word of mouth is the best advertising that we can get. So I'm going to be quiet again. My 2 cents.
Okay, so again, if you have questions, go ahead and raise your hand. We'll get your questions addressed. I have one last thing I want to talk about. And then happy to address any questions people have. So pricing. We have many of you are some of you are original people that joined us way back when we started. There's special pricing for that. All of you that have regions have grandfathered pricing in the sense that we've agreed that we won't change prices on you after you buy something, that your price remains what it is. And we continue to support that. But I can tell you that my server costs have gone up considerably since the original pricing was established. And we haven't really done much to adjust that. Back in the summer, I sat down and I took a look at the pricing for some of the other competitive grids, Wolf Territories, for instance, Alternate Metaverse, and Kitely are examples. I can tell you that our prices are significantly lower than all three of those cases. And certainly if you have a Dream Grid, your price could be low as well, but you're going to end up supporting all that stuff. So I'm talking now about cases where you're going to a commercial grid that's taking care of the stuff. What we've said that we were going to do with the grid was maintain a backlog of cash to pay for all the regions should nothing happen when no new money came in, and we've been doing that. I have kind of a backup fund for all that kind of thing. And we could cover region costs, the server costs, for several months. It's less than what it used to be. It used to be almost a year, probably closer to 6 months now. But and that's why we need to do a price increase. But if I do some quick, I'll just go through some quick examples. Wolf Territories grid is, for example, and this is his published prices. I'm not trying to get information in any kind of bad way. But if you were to buy a 4x4, it would cost you $50. And then you have to pay for prims on top of that. So basically it would be about $55, $60 depending on what you get from them. The prices go up significantly if you get to larger regions. An 8x8, which we sell for ridiculously low prices compared to this, is $100 US plus the prims that you have to buy. So that's an example of prices. He's running the NGC software. He's running my software. And these are his prices. Alternate Metaverse is another example. Their pricing is kind of hard to digest because it's all over the map. But it's similar. I would say that they have a lower end offering that is cheaper than ours, which is interesting. But they also do a la carte stuff, right? So you have to pay extra for various things. And one of the things that they sell is God mode access, which I find interesting. To me, that's essentially monetizing a theft model on your customers' backs. So we're not ever going to do that, and it actually raises their prices overall. But again, people have a choice, and if that's the culture that you want to buy into, then they're there. So, and they do okay because of that stuff. Yeah, they don't grant God mode to anybody by default, but if you pay $5 a month, they'll turn it on for you. So yeah, they're selling access to God mode. Their prices in general are more expensive than ours, especially when you get to larger regions. They have one low offering at the end. You have to buy water regions around the stuff that you buy, where we provide them. If you're paying a connection fee for water, we provide the water regions for that. So anyway, that's comparable. Kitely is similar. There's a mid-range region, which is 2x2 essentially, is about $20 a month. High end, you can get up to $150 for an 8x8. and they can go larger for if you want. But Kitely is limited because they don't support region crossings. You're really not getting a grid, a normal grid kind of setup. It's a bunch of standalone regions that get turned up and down. And again, that's not a problem if that model suits what you're trying to do. It works okay, but again, their prices are still significantly higher than what we're paying or we're charging for our regions. So coming back to this, basically, we're not going to make any price changes until after the first of the year, and anybody that buys anything from now to the end of the year gets the current pricing. If I understand that December is Christmas and people have to pay. There are Christmas expenses and things that come up. If you know you want a region and you're willing to put in a ticket and order it, but delay getting it into January, I'll honor that too. So basically what we're going to do is I'm going to do some research and basically look at my server costs and figure out it will probably be a 20 to 30% increase in our pricing. But I'm going to get that all settled before the end of the year. And in the meantime, if you buy something or you basically tell us that you're willing to buy something between now and end of January, because you put in a ticket to order it, I will honor our current pricing for those purchases. So I just wanted to let people know about that cost change. We've really hold the line and not done anything like this for several years, and unfortunately the server prices have continued to go up. So we have to make an adjustment. But I also don't want to. I want to provide for the people that are currently loyal and here and participating in what we're doing. So if you do want something, let us know. All right. I think that's everything I wanted to say. But I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any additional questions, or just about this or any of the topics, or if there's something we haven't talked about that you want to ask about. So,
hello everyone.
Hello.
Hey,
Oh, you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
It's not a question actually. It was just a little addition to what we were saying about Winterfest. And the one thing that we decided to do to give people something to do as we go into the new year was to keep the Winterfest booths going for a little bit longer. So they will go until the 10th of January. So all you creators who are filling your booths up now, they're going to be there for about a month. And to go along with that, we're doing a hunt. And something that Callie asked me about was a jigsaw puzzle hunt, which some of you may remember that we ran a couple of years ago. So that's what I'm planning to do. And I'm probably going to be asking you, wonderful creators, to just supply one prize. So it won't be a hunt where there's a prize in every item that's found. You will pick up the puzzles of the you'll pick up the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle as you go around the hunt, and then you put the puzzle together at the end, which is quite good fun. And then we'll have a prize draw so that everybody who finishes their puzzle will get a prize, but you won't know exactly what it's going to be. We'll have a party at the end of the event, and we'll draw all the prizes out at random, but everybody will win something who's done the puzzle. So yeah, creators, I will be asking you if you can just donate one item, so it won't be something that everybody gets. It'll just be one item, so it could be one thing that you normally sell in your shop that you offer to whoever is lucky enough to win that prize. So that sounds okay? That's all.
Alrighty. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's awesome. I still have my puzzle out in the house from the one that you guys did years ago. I love it. It's fantastic. So The website is utopiaskye.com. That's the main website. To register, it's utopiaskygrid.com, but you can get there from Utopia Skye. The link is, well, there you go, is right at the top. Yeah. So if you click on utopiaskye.com, there's a menu all at the top. You don't even have to go anywhere. You just literally click on Utopia Skye Grid, and then you have 8 panels. You can create an account right there. If you're already a resident, you can look at your dashboard, which just takes you to the Utopia Skye Grid site, so you can log in. You can look at our pricing. All our current pricing is there. You can get linked to the support site there. You can get instructions on connecting your viewer. You can click on our calendar. You can read our terms of service, privacy policy, and DMCA policy, all on that one page. There are other links, of course, but most people, when they come to the site, they just want to go to the grid part, and that's on every page. It's always at the top of the page.
Just real quick about the current website, the Utopia Skye Grid one. That's also going to be getting retired in favor of another website that it was based on an old piece of software that's no longer supported. And honestly, it's caused some grief because I haven't been able to keep it maintained. So I've been developing an alternative. There's a kind of early version of that alternative up now, but I don't really want to point people to it until it's a little further along. It will support all the stuff that the current website does, plus a bunch of extras. So things like scheduling events and all kinds of things like that. And my goal is to get that up at the same time we make the switch. So we'll switch over the thing, our grid, to not be hypergrid accessible, and I'll put the website up at the same time to support that.
The thing to remember if one of your friends comes to the website currently is we don't need real life information. So the very first box is name. I would tell people put the name of your desired avatar name in that. The next line is first name. Put the avatar's first name in there. Last name, put the avatar's last name in there. Email address, give us your email. Currently, you just pick an avatar from that page, and then all you have to do is accept the terms and hit register. There is nothing else that needs to be filled in on that page. That should make it far less confusing. And that is, in fact, how the new website will work. You literally put your avatar name in, your email address, and click go. I mean, we're trying to make it as simple as possible. But that's, if you're telling your friends to come like today, or before we get that done, all you need to do is just give us your avatar name and a valid email address. That's all you need to do. And I am happy to help you out with any questions about setting up your avatar or creating your account. Moonsugar can attest to this. I do need you in Discord if I'm going to help you with that. So it is also just as important that if you are bringing people over, that you give them our Discord link. It's in our rules channel. It will never expire. You can pass it out at will, and people can join there. If they want support, that's the quickest way to do it. So
just to clarify one thing, or not to clarify, but to underscore it, we do need a valid email address. It has to be valid.
Yes.
And it gets checked when you sign up.
Yes.
So, but that's fine. Well, and it has to be unique to your avatar. In other words, if you have an alt, they have to have a different address. You can't share them. We use that as a login mechanism. So
I do want to say one thing. I don't see that we have any questions at the minute. With regards to Luna, I am directly working with Luna's real life partner. She has requested that I be the liaison for virtual assets and things while she handles a lot of the real life things, and we work in conjunction. So if there's ever any question about Luna's writings or Luna's builds or Luna's digital assets, please ask me. If I don't have an answer for you, I will get an answer from the person that is legally the sole beneficiary of all of Luna's assets, both real and virtual. So just to make that clear so people understand. I may not know the answer because I'm not, Luna's wife, but I certainly have contact with Luna's wife and will help her with whatever decision she makes about Luna's assets. Having said that, I do also know, because we've talked about this, that we will be receiving an ore from Wolf Grid territories of Luna's regions. Luna had 4x4s there, including the store, and all of the newest of Luna's builds are on there. Luna decided many years ago to bring Lunaria Emporium to USG, and everything on that region is free to USG residents. The only caveat is it can't leave the grid. So that region was never accessible to Hypergrid. It'll be the same with the Luxor regions and all of those products. They'll be free, but it'll take some time. Someone, either Runa or myself, will have to go through and set all of those to free, but they will be free for USG residents. And that's all of the assets. That's not to take away from anything anybody else is building or doing, but it is designed, as was Luna's wishes, to have a curated memory, of all of the things that Luna built and gave to the community. So that will be coming at some point soon. I also heard a rumor, and it is just a rumor at this point, I can't confirm it yet, that Pyro VR is going to be resurrected and doing activities again in USG once we are close to Hypergrid. So if I can confirm that, trust me, you'll be the second to know, because I'll be shouting about it in Discord, which means we'll have the best fireworks on any virtual platform ever back again. So that's a possibility too. So there are some really great things that are coming because we are closing to Hypergrid. And there are even better things that'll be coming long term because of this. So while it may seem like, oh God, I can't visit my friends, or oh, I can't do this, or oh, I can't do that, there are loads of silver linings that come with this decision. And I'm a little biased here when I say this, but I know Mike and my level of commitment to this grid and its residents. You are also being on one of the few grids that I can attest to that actually really seriously gives a shit, pardon my French, about its inhabitants, their creations, their dreams, and their wishes. So I know our commitment to that, and all I can do is by my actions show you that, and I hope we continue to show you that. But we also want to be happy. So, that's our overarching priority here. With that said in mind, and then I'm going to finish, this will be my last thing, Mike, sorry. I want to make sure that people understand that if you have a wish for your digital assets, should something happen, Mike and I would be happy to work with you to set something up so that, the person you choose in your real world to handle your affairs has somebody that could work with you for your virtual side too. So, we're open to conversations like that. We're not forcing it, but for me personally, Luna's passing was so sudden, and I'm sure it was for Runa too, very unexpected. And it just really made me think a lot about things like that. So I want to make sure that everybody knows that if there is any kind of planning you want to do with that, please work with us. We'll be happy to work with you. And Mike, I'm done now. I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and mute for the rest of the session.
Yes, I just got one more thing to say. I want to. I mentioned that it takes a community, and that you need to bring friends and help to grow what we're doing. And I just want to say that Callie and I are also trying to do that by having conversations with some creators that we know that or that we worked with in the past, like in Inworlds. And I don't want to name names, but there are some people that we've had conversations with that we would love to bring over, and that they might be more interested now that the grid will be closed and secure as far as their content is concerned. Not that they're all, everyone that does stuff like in SL is aware that much of the content theft happens in SL, but the simple truth is much of the distribution of it happens in OpenSim. So, but being closed, I think, looks different to some of them, and we're finding that some of the conversations are at least open, and they're open and and thinking about it. So, but if anybody else also has conversations with people and they have questions, feel free to rope us in, and we'll do our best to help talk about it and and answer their questions so that they're comfortable with what we're doing. So that's the last thing I wanted to say. Any other questions on any topic at this point? And just letting you know that if you see some message from me, especially about us offering free tuna, it's probably Bensky being.
Yeah, that pesky little kitty. You got to watch out for him. There is a question.
Yep, Amy has the stage.
Okay. Little secret. It's not really a question again. I'm so sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to say, and I think I speak for at least some of us when I say, I know this has been a really tough choice and a really tough decision, but there are a lot of us standing firmly behind you, fully support you, and are so grateful for what you have given us. Like, this home that we have is something so very special to a lot of us people here. And I very much appreciate it. And I want to speak for me and at least some of the people I know to say, we are grateful and we love what you do, and keep doing it, because I don't know where I'd be without you. So thank you. And thank you for the memorial. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Yeah.
That's
And
all.
I'll tell you what, that's the reason we're doing it.
That's exactly the reason. Yep.
Is because we all consider everybody here family, and have so many. You guys give back in so many ways you don't always realize. So thank you as well.
Yep. Very true. Oh yeah, and happy birthday, by the way, Flamey.
Oh.
I hear turning 21 is fantastic this time of year. Oh, hey, Shaku. Oh my gosh, I didn't even see you come in.
It's great to see you.
Good to see you again, hon. Hope things are well. I thought I heard some sneakers on the floor there. Squeak, squeak, squeak. I don't have anything else, you guys, unless you have questions for me. Mike does, I'm sure you all know by now, Mike does most of the tech stuff. I do most of the people stuff. So if there's any questions about events or things you want to do, that's a great thing too, by the way. If someone wants to create an event, oh yeah, see, this is what happens. I ramble and then I think of something to talk about. If at the minute until the new website gets done, if you have an event that you would like posted, all you have to do is send me the information. It's posted in the coffee house on a pinned post. If you send me that information, I'll put it on the official calendar. And then what that will do is it will create an event in Discord so that people that, look at Discord more than they do the grid will see that and come into the grid. And vice versa. Group messages work in World. Please use them. Now, offline messaging is still coming. It's something that Ubit broke in one of the releases, so Mike's trying to fix it. But the group notices do indeed work. So you've got a couple of ways to advertise events so it doesn't have to feel so lonely to do things. So please feel empowered to make your own events, and we'll be happy to come to them. I promise I'm done. I swear I'm done. I need more coffee anyway, so I'm going to shut up now.
All right. If there are no questions, thank you everybody for participating, and I'm gonna get back to coding. I got lots to do before the end of the month. So.